good. That means it's time to open up the stat market. We give you the numbers. You buy or sell whether these trends will continue. So don't think MPJ can score the basketball? Well, guess what? He increased his points per game by 14 and a half. Now, obviously, a lot of that's opportunity. He was the Nuggets' third leading scorer inside the bubble. So, Kendrick, buy or sell Michael Porter Jr. as the Nuggets' third star going forward?
Oh, Rach, I'm going to the dealership and buy me a Ferrari, and I'm paying cash for it because that's what Michael Porter Jr. is. This kid is a flat-out stud. And look, before he got hurt before the draft, he could have potentially been the #1 pick. He's that good. He's a walking bucket. He's a great third option for Denver. Now, with that being said, a thing that Michael Porter Jr. has to learn is what he learned in the bubble is I want him to knock out all the outside distractions and make sure that he buy into the team and buy into Coach Mike Malone and buy into his role and know that he's going to be that third option guy behind Jamal Murray and Big Jokic, and he'll be perfectly fine. So I'm buying him all the way. Cash money.
All right, Perk, I'm going to take all my money out of the bank. I'm going to buy a Maserati, and I'm going to pull it up right alongside you for Michael Porter Jr. But here's what I'm going to be whispering in his ear. I'm going to be whispering in his ear, we know you're an offensive stud. We know nothing. Pressure does not bother you. We saw that many times in the bubble. You have to defend. You can't be indifferent to it. You've got to spend I was going to say summer, but now it's winter, working on your defense, being part of our team defensive concept. If you do that, you're a more complete player. I can keep you on the floor longer because I can have you close out at the end of the games when we're ahead. This kid is going to be a flat-out star.
I really like him, and getting to know him a little bit better in the bubble was really interesting because I think that he is the kind of character guy that Denver wants. I just think he's learning. Right? I mean, we kind of forget not only how young he actually is, but he's even younger in basketball years because you're right, Perk, he was projected as the #1 overall pick before he got hurt, but that was well before the NBA draft. So he, of course, got drafted, sat out more. Was it used sparingly because we know that Mike Malone doesn't like to throw rookies in there. You got to prove it to him before he's willing to put you in a game. So he really has so little game experience under his belt compared to a lot of other guys, even his age. And I think that he will learn a little bit about all the things you guys are both talking about as they go. They have such a good system there. Jackie, you are our unofficial Denver Nuggets expert from here on out. So I'm anything you say on the Nuggets, I'm in for. That's it. Jackie says, Jackie knows. Let's talk a little bit about the Suns because in the restart, they managed to go 8-0 in their seeding games. Now, that wasn't enough to get them into the playoffs, which says a lot, but certainly encouraging if you're a Suns fan, paging our researcher Michael Schwartz. Jackie, buy or sell the Suns finishing above 500 next season? I'm not saying they have to go 82-0. We're not saying they have to continue the bubble, but will they go over 500? Right. Will they have a winning record?
Rach, I desperately want to drive my Maserati over to the Phoenix Suns and spend all my money on them. But I can't, and it's not because I don't believe in them. I do. I think Monty Williams is a great coach for that team. Devin Booker's a star. DeAndre Ayton can get there. They have some really nice young pieces that proved themselves in the bubble. Here's the but. The Golden State Warriors are back. We know they're not going to finish last in the Western Conference again. So my rule is always, if you're going to put a team up, you have to take a team out and pull them down. Who is that team in this loaded West? What about the Memphis Grizzlies, who I believe finished just above them?
Yep.
So I want to believe the Suns can get there. I'm just not 100% sure they can.
Well, guess what? My financial advisor is going to be mad at me because I'm going back to the dealership and I might buy me a Rolls Royce truck or a Benz. I'm going to say a Benz. I'm going to keep it low. And I'm buying it. The Phoenix Suns, what they proved in the bubble when they were finally healthy and had everybody except for Kelly Oubre, was that they're a team that could get it done collectively. We all know how great of a coach, good of a coach Monty Williams is. He showed us that with the Pelicans, but now he have those guys believing. he have those guys trusting in him, and guys know their roles. We have to remember the Phoenix Suns were not healthy majority of the season, and DeAndre Ayton had the suspension early in the season, what hurt them also. So when they finally got their chemistry and rhythm back, you was like, wow, who is this Phoenix Suns team? This is who they're going to be in the near future right here. They gave us an example in the bubble.
Well, they've had high draft picks, I think, since like the 1920s at this stage. I mean, they've had so much talent that they've scooped up to go in there, or at least the chances of talent. I guess this is almost an inadvertent watching the process play out, and we will see if they're able to get above 500 next season. I do want to get to the guy that led the Heat to the finals, Mr. Jimmy Butler. Money, money, money in clutch time in the playoffs, shooting 57% from the field when it matters most. That's not just good for the bubble, that's just good for the playoffs. That was among the best percentages in the last 2 decades of playoff basketball. And of course, clutch guys, the last 5 minutes of the game when the score is within 5 points. So Jackie, given Jimmy Butler's ability to close, his leadership intangibles, do you buy or sell him as an MVP finalist next season? So that's top 3.
I want to buy him as an MVP finalist because in my mind, he's the kind of player that should be. Everything he did in the bubble to me was just tremendous. And he completely disproved the idea that you have to be a three-point threat to be an MVP caliber player. Clearly, that's not who Jimmy Butler is, nor that's who he wants to be, nor, by the way, is that who the Miami Heat wants him to be. So when I tell you I'm not selling Jimmy Butler, because he's one of the top 5 players I'd like to have on my team. But when you start talking about MVP voting, you talk about high volume scoring. And the Miami Heat are at their best when Jimmy Butler doesn't have to score 40, when you're getting scoring from Dragic and Bam Adebayo and Duncan Robinson, and in the future, I would guess Tyler Hero as well. So I think the way Jimmy Butler plays, which behooves the Heat and is great for the Heat, will make it difficult for him to win this award you're referring to.
Well, guess what? I'm buying, and I'm buying more. I'm buying a lot of real estate
Perk's going to have no money left
I'm
by
going
the time
with
this
Jimmy
is
Butler.
over.
He's the
Perk,
truth.
you're broke. Perk.
None. By the time this show, I'm going all in. Jimmy Butler is the prime example of what an MVP means to his team. And he was just that. He was the most valuable player to his team. What would that team be without Jimmy Butler? They wouldn't have made it to the finals, I tell you that much. And the performance that he put on in the NBA Finals, it made me realize that he was already a star to me, but now I was able to put the super in front of that because when the lights got brighter, Jimmy Butler stepped his game up and elevated his game like no other. Those 40-point triple-doubles and those triple-doubles he was putting up in the finals was phenomenal, and I think the way that he went about carrying his team, post-game interviews, instilling confidence into his teammates. I can only imagine what he was saying in the locker room. So as of right now, I'm buying that Jimmy Butler could be an NBA finalist next year?
Well, I love this question and I love this discussion because it, of course, exemplifies what I've been talking about on the show for 5 years, that we have to decide what most valuable means, right? And if it is just the stats and the scoring, you are absolutely right, Jackie. He is not going to come into that stratosphere with some of the high number guys that we know are going to be putting things up in this league, whether it's Giannis, whether it's a guy like LeBron, whether it's Kevin Durant when he comes back. But value to the team is more than scoring. It just is. And we have to start deciding, and maybe Jimmy's a great place to have this discussion because LeBron is so polarizing, right, that all these other feelings come into play when you're talking about who is the most valuable, not stat-oriented, but valuable player in the league. Well, let's talk about Jimmy Butler, who is not polarizing at all. Basketball fans love Jimmy Butler pretty much across the board. And you're right, Perk, it's not just what he does on the court. He can score a 40-point triple-double in the NBA Finals when he needs to, but he recognizes there are games he's not going to do that. He's not, as you say, Jackie, a big three-point threat, but he has maintained and fostered relationships on that team like no star I have seen in a long time. Every player I talked to in the Miami Heat locker room was like, well, I have a special relationship with Jimmy. That's because Jimmy worked his butt off over the last season to make sure that he knew family members, he knew friends, parents. He had that team so together and playing as one heartbeat. The defense, the fight that he put in that team, that is value. And we just have to start deciding what MVP is for. And maybe, again, as I say, if we want to recognize big scoring and stats, maybe we have a best season, most outstanding season award. This is going to keep going, and Jackie's going to keep, well, she bears with me when I have this cup, and so did the producers, except they made the closing bell. The stat market done for the day. We'll be back with another edition.